What is up, everybody? Welcome to the latest episode of Power Spike. It's your boy dGon here, alongside Yamato and Jamada after a 2-week break. But you didn't miss much, and we'll have everything covered here on Power Spike. It is crazy because, one, it is 2026, not 2022. It's also the spring, but World Elite doing their best October DRX esque type run here in the LPL. We will be covering a lot of that. But we start with the team that wanted to do that type of run, looked like they were going to be able to do it in the regular season, and actually had the biggest crash out of all the teams, other than whoever doesn't make it out of the LPL who lost to World Elite. Maybe it's BLG, maybe it's anyone's Legends. We're talking about Vitality, the number one squad from the LEC. They looked great. NaakNako looking like one of the best top laners in the world. And instead, that was that. And that is where we start with the losses. And we'll cover the crash out in the interview as well. Everything's on fire over at Vitality. All right, lights fired, everyone. In the chat and comments, we'll be looking for new remote producers that can self-produce, can have headphones that listen, and
you can also move into dGon's place, so it doesn't have to be remote. You can just sit behind him there.
Yep. That's true.
Yep.
And sit in the other room.
Look at those broad, like thick shoulders. You can sit on them and just sit there with a.
Come sit on me and produce the show. Anyways, everything's on fire over Vitality. They crash out of the LEC playoffs. We love light. Just kidding. Sorry, it's filled. And then an interview with NaakNako comes out. It talks about how scrims weren't going well, and it is a pretty big crash out. Reminds me of like the inspired level crash out from FlyQuest a couple years ago, which was basically throwing Jensen under the bus, and then that's what pulled Quad up onto the squad. But it was a big crash out from their star player. Yamato, let's start with you. What did you make of kind of the run that Vitality had in terms of games and dropping out? And then this interview, unfortunately, that came out from NaakNako.
I think in regards to the run, it's always quite poisonous when your team, like in terms of what results mean and how they can shape you and also shape the opinion of a team. I think that maintaining form through time and also through patches is the most difficult thing. It's like we praise G2 for that exact same reason, is that we trust them enough if they have bad form in a regular season that they're going to get into shape. Because of their collective experience, their champions' DNA. There's not a lot of teams and players that can just get their shit together and just win. We have seen even some of the best teams crash out. Like in preparation for this road to MSI, we saw a version of HLE last year that of course got reverse swept and then got crushed by a T1 that looked very bad throughout the entire regular season. So in terms of maintaining form and the risk coming into a playoffs where you have three teams that are rather experienced as a core, we always kind of knew that there is some question marks. But I didn't know these question marks would be answered with such a resounding, we are boosted, because Vitality, they seem to not be resilient to the idea of losing at all. MCoy, fair play. That loss, you can give that one the talking point of the distance of the matches. They didn't play, and then they play against MCoy. MCoy was going to be a difficult team, regardless if they were in good form or not. That was like, okay, maybe they're just cold. Let's move on to, of course, the GX matches. But the red line in all of these was a very clear sign of desperation and a clear sign of lack of confidence. I know this all too well because in 2022, when we, in spring, beat G2 the first time, the second time we faced them, we didn't have the confidence to play. And how players react when they don't have the confidence in their team to be better, they tend to overplay, they tend to overreach, they tend to want to finish the game at every kind of moment in the game. And that's what we saw from Vitality. Every siege, they kind of stayed there until they died. Every Drake fight was always like engage on the first one because we just kind of want to be out of the fight. But in many moments, you could just pause the frame. If they had a little bit more patience, position a little bit better, like they did in the regular split, things would have been a lot better. And their playstyle relies still on a lot of confidence. Because if you remember Vitality of the regular split, this is a team that shot from the hip, regardless of how the fight went. They kind of bounced back quick and moved on, which was their biggest strength. But now, tying this together with what NaakNako said in the interview, because he made everything so apparent. He mentioned that after this loss against MKOI, the team was very tilted outside of him. He mentioned that they were losing most of the scrims and they were spiraling. And then he went so far to admit, for those who didn't read this interview, this was one of the most shocking interviews I have read in recent times. NaakNako said, if someone ruins my lane or does anything to hurt my lane, I protest by running it down. But my teammates know that on the matches, I will get it together, which is the epitome of the framing of Vitality. They have a working process that relies so much on winning to keep the mood up. And their process that is in place is kind of this free-spirited where anyone can do whatever the fuck they want. And then when it got tough, nothing really works because they didn't really build a foundation in the first place. And it was very shocking to read this. I know there's a lot of players out there that do exactly this thing. He's not alone in that, but he's alone in saying it out loud, which is it's just completely crazy. So for me, and I look at this in terms of Vitality, if your player's coming out and saying this, we know that the drafting was bad. He said it in the interview. We say that the mood was bad. We say that the foundation was not there because the moment a wind blew on the Vitality building, it collapsed. It completely collapsed like the big bad wolf just made out of straw. I think it just reflects poorly once again on this godforsaken coaching staff. Jesus Christ. You know, Neo last year promised, if this team doesn't make top 3, we don't make the World Championship. We benched Hilly. We made his retirement horrible. We brought in Niski. We did the whole flesh. We bought Linsas out. And we did all these things to accommodate this goddamn coaching staff. And we're not going to get the results we want. They didn't even change that. And Pat continued. And I have to look at that track record because looking at the Vitality players, I don't want to replace anybody. The talent is clearly there. But the foundation for what a culture in a team is clearly missing. So I think this is the number one problem. And they got hit in the mouth, punched in the mouth, really.
My quick point here, Jamada, is I think there's a huge difference between a winner's mentality and a championship mentality. I've been thinking about this a lot just recently, right? After the MKOI series, actually. Because if MKOI are going to get over that hump, they have players that do have championship quality and championship DNA. Whereas Vitality, they have Carzzy, they have Humanoid, but championship DNA feels very different. But they did a lot of winning, and that kind of mindset, I was like, why do I feel okay with MKOI compared to how I felt with Vitality? And then all this shit came out after the second loss. It was because it's championship mentality compared to winner's mentality. Jamada, what do you make of it?
Yeah, I mean, I'm glad you brought them up because these two are the veterans of the lineup, right? And I'll talk on the coaching staff in a second because obviously Pad is someone who I came up with very temporarily as a coach. So it will be weird for me to talk on it. But with the way that Carzzy and Humanoid are and the way that we've spoken about them as players and them kind of being atmosphere boosters, I do find it strange and very, very particular that somehow in this setup, this is the most winning setup that these two have had in a very, very long time. That the second that, there's any kind of turbulence, seemingly, right, things come crashing down. Because when I hear NaakNako say this, I look at the rest of the roster, it's Nako, Linsas, Fleshy. There's not a lot of experience between these three, realistically, in the grand scheme of things. So if things start going poorly, yes, you always want to look to leadership inside of coaching staff. And again, I'll get there in a second. But when it comes to like interpersonal relationships, you always look towards the veterans who are playing as well, right? I think you hold these guys contextually to the same standards as you would coaching staff. And so for me, when I hear someone like is ruining my lane from NaakNako, I'm just gonna like running down there, no, I'll get it together. That's a loser's mentality. That's not the mentality of someone that wants to go on and win championships. You're not there to actually grind and go through all of the shit in the mud to like you said, to have that championship mentality. You're not there for that. But Kazi and Humanoid have been there for that. Their runs in 2021 with Mad, no one really expected them to win those titles, right? They came off of the back of very, very specific circumstances, which was built off the back of their ability to overcome adversity. So to see now a collapse of this team that has Humanoid and Kazi at the core, the second that they hit adversity is very, very, very odd, because these guys are the ones that I would expect to get these younger players who are very lively and obviously clearly a little bit emotional to kind of just regulate a little. But it seems like that's not. And as for the coaching staff, because if the players fail to do that, that's when coaching staff needs to step in. It is now undoubtedly clear there is a trend, there is a pattern that whether or not, because I think there's two angles to this, right? You can hold the players to account for not being able to self-regulate, and you can hold the coaching staff to account for not being able to actually get the players to do what they should be doing. But there also comes a point, and Yamato, I'm sure you've also dealt with this as a coach, where sometimes players will just do whatever the fuck they want, and there's actually nothing you can do about it as a coach. And at that point, I'm unsure whether that is a case that could be happening here with Vitality, but because of the length of time now that we have had the same sets of people in coaching staff positions at Vitality, you just have to wonder, what is management going to do about this? Because they now forget, players potentially having tantrums and scrims, forget, Pad or the rest of the coaching staff not being adequate enough to actually hold these guys to some kind of, behavioral standard if this is what's going on, or like being able to get them to regroup. Vitality GM, do something now. You have a roster that is clearly capable, and leadership inside of this roster has been present before via Humanoid and Kazi, but coaching staff has not seemingly been able to get these guys to stay the fucking course. And I think that is the biggest telltale for me out of all of this.
But and I think the disappointing part is it did feel like they were part of the shakeup of this year, where maybe in LCS you're kind of waiting to see if FlyQuest get their shit together to shake up the change over there in North America. In the LCK, right? KT were running the table for a bit. T1 and Gen.G were definitely vulnerable at stage of this year. And then over in the LPL, it was BLG and everyone else. And then now this WE thing happened, and that's awesome. You thought that Vitality could be that. We weren't talking about Vitality like we talk about KT in the LCK, where it's like, it's a good run. They've got a good start, but it'll crash down eventually. There were feelings of like, this could be the team. Like if there was a team that we were doing that with, Jamada, it was Navi. Remember, you're like, yeah, this Navi squad. Yeah, they might be able
Navi,
to do
they
it.
could be the dark horse team. Yeah.
But Vitality felt like a surefire win there, that they would take care of business. And instead, not only did they not do that, but it felt like it's a little shady business there. So changes possibly being needed. Definitely correcting the behavior of this interview, I would say, which is, as a someone who covers the space, a content creator, that sucks. Like, you don't want teams to cut down on how much you share, but you can't have answers like that unless there's change that happens here. So Yamato, how would you approach some of this change then? Let's say, okay, change is going to happen. What would you do? Coaching side, let's say it's a coaching change or management change, whatever it is. What are your priorities here?
I sincerely, it's like, Jamada, you said that like some players can't be coached, but I think it ties into what you mentioned before that, which is once again just the loser's mentality, right? Like even though NaakNako says this publicly, like I still think he's very early on in his career. I think there's a fault
He can
of
change. He can.
yeah,
change.
I think this is 100% the fault of his surroundings, and I think with that being said, I think the number one change up is just I think it might be too late now because summer is still happening, but I think that Neo had the right instinct already last year. I think that in regards to this team, they got everything that they asked for, right? And still they are not moving the needle. Them losing to GX is a massive failure because I think GX is proving the opposite. I don't rate the GX roster high at all. I don't think that Noah is performing well this year. I think Isma has always been like a mid-tier jungle at his best. And GX as a roster currently from where we're standing should be losing to Vitality. And from that side, I think the GX have put together something more cohesive and a stronger foundation with ready to win some games if they give the chance are given the chance. So that is like a reflection of the coaching staff maybe doing more than what is expected from the actual roster. So from my side, I don't know what kind of changes you can make now. I'm not going to sit here and blame any player. I think that especially Mac and Pad, like they are bringing in players they have experience working with. Like I can talk about how Humanoid is his character. They're working with Humanoid and Kazi. They work with these players for a long time now. Like they have all the information needed to have foreseen this coming. All the information. So for me, I'm putting full blame on the coaching staff and by extension management for not having putting the trigger of making a decision early on. I think it's as simple as that.
Yeah, and I've said it from the mountaintops multiple times. I think Yohoto has that championship mentality, and maybe once in his career has had a team of that caliber, which was that Team Liquid super team, which is its own thing, right? But since then, like I've rated him highly. GX doing well there in playoffs was good for me. What is your number one priority here, Jamada, for these changes? And then we'll move on to the next topic.
I mean, it's got to be coaching staff. I don't think there's any batting around the bush. Like, sorry, Sensei, but like, I think we've come to a point now where I agree with Yamato. Like, the players clearly do, like, talent-wise, have it in them. I don't think anyone really doubts that, but it doesn't feel like holistic. Yes, this Vitality team is fun. Yes, they're explosive, but do they feel bought into an idea collectively as a unit? And when I watch them play the game, I don't inherently feel that way. It feels a little bit too free-flowy all of the time. It feels a little bit too opportunistic a lot of the time. And obviously that can benefit a team if they're in a state of they're in form, right? But League of Legends is a lot about form. So the second where you hit this wall, and this is why I said coming into playoffs, the MKOI series will be the tell-all series, right? Because remember, we were a bit concerned after they dropped out of EWC qualifiers. We're like, well, maybe it's just the online, maybe it's this, maybe it's that. The MKOI series will be the real teller of truth. And I think we got a lot of our answers out of that series. And then we got the confirmation in the GX series, really, of just how potentially destructive some of the backroom habits ended up being. So, yeah, even though, for me, I don't inherently think like the coaching staff is bad. I don't think that the coaching staff clearly have it in them right now to give these guys a leash that they need, clearly, to perform on stage or to actually build up good habits in practice behind closed doors.
All right. Well, again, Vitality crushing out early here in the spring. They have the opportunity to gather themselves for the summer in the LEC, but we won't see any more of them and probably hear from interviews for a little while from NaakNako. They've got themselves until July. That's a long break. That's a long time since we get back to League. But thanks to MSI and EWC, these teams will be chilling. All right, let's move on to our next topic here. We go from a team that underperformed and was buried by expectations to a team that had no expectations and has exceeded the wildest dreams of any team this year, which is World Elite over in the LPL. Usually certified banger is for a match, but we're going to make it for a team. It's certified banger World Elite Spring 2026 playoffs. I almost got it right. It was Split 2 playoffs. World Elite is a squad in Group Ascend, which is the upper echelon of the league where there are 8 teams. And they won a grand total of how many games, Jamada? How many series did they win in Split 2 regular season?
I think it was one, dGon. I think it was one. Was it one? It was one, right?
It was one.
It was one.
Just one.
Yeah.
Yes. So they had won a grand total of 1 game. And kind of crazy that is what happened to them. However, no fear. As we look towards the future, they defeated LNG, and they were the only bottom Ascend team to win in the LPL, which is kind of crazy. IG crashing out, NIP losing to EDG, and Weibo Gaming losing to LGD. And as the bottom seed, they got selected by BLG. BLG, number 1 team, handpicks them, and are like, this is the squad we want to stomp to make sure that we get on through and play. They didn't select any of the Nirvana teams. They're like, we've seen this team play. They have won 1 game. Just 1. And they proceed to get 3-1 with not a backdoor squad, but a front door, which was awesome. And then in their second series against AL, okay, AL, another one of the big 4 here. They're going to make it a lot of experience. They proceed to 3-0 them and now are 1 win away from MSI against Top Esports. So, Jamada, let's start with you. We started with Yamato last time. What the fuck is going on with World Elite and BLG and AL?
Well, you know what? It's funny we were just talking about Vitality, I was talking about Vitality not being bought into an idea, because WE are bought into that idea of Monkey through and through now since his return. And this is just one of those things you can't predict this. Like no sane person before playoffs is gonna look at the bracket and go, yeah, WE are gonna beat BLG, and then they're gonna go on and beat AO. You'd be called mentally compromised. The polite way of saying it. You're mentally compromised. But here we are, right? And I think for me, what makes this impressive is just the time span of the turnaround, right? This team went to 5 games against LNG, right? Which this was the best of 5 that I was actually kind of most excited about inside of the play-ins. I thought the rest were going to be complete washes. But I did not in the way that they ended up turning out, obviously. But the WLNG one was the one I was most interested in. And they come out of it, they get small, tiny break. And then all of a sudden we're just Thanos. I'm not really sure what to say about this WE team. There was no writing on the wall for this. I think this is at least to me, even watching there wasn't really too much writing on the wall for it, other than how long have we been speaking about Monkey as, this very, very exciting prospect of a player. We were joking last year about BLG and the jungle substitution situation of, well, guys, maybe it's time to buy out Monkey from WE, right? So this team does have like the DNA of very exciting players. I think that's the first thing to kind of cover, right? Monkey and Erha, specifically, when Erha was on Weibo, for the short time that he was there when he subbed in, I would say we had more positive things to say about him than negative, right? But these 2 players together have just been running in playoffs pretty much every single big play. Like they, not only do they play off the back of each other, but they seem to view the game the exact same way, and they seem to just agree, right, on how plays want to be made. They're making space for each other, right? And there was the NaakNako game in particular. I want to say it was versus BLG, but I'm pretty sure you got NaakNako in both the series, where it was just multiple either 3-man, 4-man ultimates out of Erha, which then set up and provided space for Monkey, to just run team fights, borderline solo after that point. Or he was just finding these opportunities where, hey, I'm catching X carry because I can. Monkey, come here and get your mitts on him. And that just felt like the repeat of every single big team fight. And I think what's been exciting on top of all of this is then the smaller, slightly less exciting players have then bounced off of this tempo, right? Where I look at a player like About, who, for all intents and purposes, is just a middle of the pack to low end AD carry, but he's been provided enough space where he's stepping up, and if there's small shortcomings in a play that Erha or Monkey are making, he's closing the distance and he's making that gap, actually connect. So yeah, I'm not really sure what to say about this WE team other than if they beat BLG and AL, they can beat the piss out of top esports. Like it's not at all something that's out of the realm of possibility for them now. And I just think the fact that everyone has stepped up, even Cube has stepped up pretty damn good. Cube was a player that I considered kind of the same as like Xiaoshu, if you would rewind the clocks like a year ago, where it's like you have the elite top 6 to 7, don't do the fucking meme, top laners in the LPL always, right? The big brand LPL home name of the top lane. And then you'd get to the middle of the pack guys. And I would consider Xiaoshu the guy that you would have to be better than to then start boxing with the elite. And then Cube was kind of at the bottom of that echelon before you hit the real pisses. And even Cube is stepping up. So I don't know. This just feels like the perfect wind has been caught in the sails of this team. They're bought into the same idea collectively. Monkey as well. There was the interview, which I'll let Yamato talk about, because I think Yamato, you really enjoyed what he said in that space. And they're all just, again, League of Legends oftentimes about form. You can't predict a turnaround like this. So yeah.
I just think that it's also insane that the bro that got kicked out of the bros, Karis, is the one also finding form and playing solid. He's playing solid. And as much as About has received his flowers from Arnold always is a seller of his former players or anyone that's been in the Gen G Academy, because it makes the Gen G Academy look good. So I was like, I don't even know how much to buy into this. However, here they are, one series away against top esports, who, domestically solid, internationally choke. So they have a chance. Yamato, what is your take on all of this?
I think the whole WE storyline, I think the interview that Jamada mentioned is basically Monkey got benched for Tyrion Lannister at one point. Legit, his name is Tyrion. I don't know where the Chinese players get their names from. The Hank, Tyrion, it's just from HBO shows.
Vampire, True Blood. There you go.
Yeah, maybe. Basically, you had the situation where Monkey was like, I was very harsh with my teammates, and they didn't respond to it because he basically mentioned that they didn't listen to his comms. They didn't listen to his calls, and this frustrated him, and he was very harsh with his teammates, and this created a rift. But in his reflection, the GOAT that he is, he said, I realized my mistake in my communication, and I figured out how to communicate to my teammates, and now they believe in me in full force. And I feel like that's what this team is. I think WE is basically so similar to what KT was last year, where I never thought that Perfect or Diokdam or Peter were good players, in the sense, not like they were good players, but they were not elite. They were never elite. They just were so damn good at accepting what their job is. They never went beyond, and that's where a lot of players fail. They try to do more than they need to do. They fight for CS that is not going to determine the game. They might be 10, 15 CS behind in a matchup that maybe a better player would go even in, but they get the job done. They never put the game at risk by overreaching for something else. I saw so many games with WE moments where basically Monkey is invading enemy blue, and then Karis, what he does, he drops 4 mid waves. He's committed, never leaves. He's okay, we're going to get these 3 camps. I will lose 4 midwaves, but it is what it is. I'm following and committing to the game plan. And I think KT was very similar in that way, where they did everything they could to find stability and always created as many time as possible around BDD. And that's the kind of class of player where I put Monkey in. You have like a few players like that shape their teams around them. You had Monkey, you had, of course, Inspired in the LCS, you have BDD in KT. Another one for one split was Milky Way, right? It was very similar in the sense that everyone was very bought into what Milky Way wanted to do in the game. And I think that's where WE is at. They're just collectively always a fist, you know? They're always punching with 5 fingers involved. And I think that's a massive advantage. A lot of the other teams in the LPL are kind of messy all over the board. And I think that the meta also landed in a very good spot. Do I expect them to maintain this? No. I think they've carved out a specific pocket, a specific niche where they are really, really damn good. Will they survive through meta changes? I think not. Because in the same fashion, BFX, as they qualified to first stand, and they managed to play through bot lane heavily, and they played these matchups with the range supports where Kellen could excel, the moment the meta shifted even at the tournament to 3v3 mid lane, suddenly you realize, damn, we got Vikla. Yo, what are we gonna do here? You know, we gotta compete 3v3 mid lane against Chovy, Zeka, Showmaker, Faker. Like, what are we doing here, you know? So they were very good in a specific pocket, and then when that pocket closed, suddenly you can't rely on the same strengths. And I think WE has found a very strong niche here where they can perform super well. But I just wanted to end as well by saying, WE versus BOG, I don't think you could have constructed a bigger upset possible based on what these teams did leading up to this moment this year. BOG as a team, if they would spawn and didn't have a single scrim, boop, and they would face the WE of that day, I would expect them to beat the shit out of them. This was all-pro BLG, broke a record, full all-pro, won first stand international, won the regular split against a 113 WE that had 6 maps won. I don't think you could have artificially created a bigger upset. But BLG, I have to say, they look like winter split BLG in that series. They look like the type of BLG that's playing a best of 3 that doesn't matter. They came in in this series with zero respect, very little prep. I'm not too worried about them, but WE just thumped them, and the WE story is just insane. I love it.
Yep. Just a great story. If there's a game that you need to watch, go watch that game number 3, BLG WE. The ending there, a front door, not a back door, a front door. It's just chef's kiss. Even if, and you know me, biggest bro fan in the world, even if the bros made a run to MSI, that would be less shocking than what WE has already accomplished. Okay, maybe if they make it to MSI, all right. But even if they made it to the finals, it would be less shocking than what WE has accomplished based off of how little they got done in the Ascend group and just how low the expectations were. Again, they got picked by BLG. They were hand-selected by BLG and got the job done. Like, that feels sweet in itself, right? It's so disrespectful to be the team that got picked, and you're like, all right, you think it's us? Fine, we'll show you. And then usually you get bopped 3-0 and prove exactly why you got picked. Not the case this time here, as one of the best stories continues to roll on. They will have this match, the MSI qualifier, upper bracket finals of the LPL split 2 playoffs, I believe on Sunday. It'll be over the weekend. So a bunch of teams about to get eliminated, including one of BLG, JDG, and AL. Like, that's just so crazy that two of those teams are going to get eliminated. So we'll see what happens here in the future. All right. 2 down, 2 more segments to go. But before we do, it's time to remind you about our friends over at Raycon, which is what Jamada is wearing right now. If you're still figuring out what to get the dad in your life this Father's Day, I've got you covered. Raycon's essential open earbuds have been a total game changer for me, and personally, it feels like it was also made for dads. Whether he's always out for walks, puttering around in the yard, or someone who's never really indoors, these are going to get used for sure. The open ear design is what got me hooked. I can have music or podcast going on and still hear everything around me, which makes being outside so much more enjoyable without feeling checked out. It's a rare gift that actually feels practical and something he'll reach for every single day, other than that woodworking kit that you bought him a couple years ago that's still gathering dust. And if you have this and you want a pair for yourself, now's a great time because they're 15% off. The big thing about these ones are that the earbuds sit outside your ear canal, so you get a really clear sound, but you can actually hear what's happening around you as well. And the awareness is perfect for tackling fitness goals safely. If you're in a big public transportation area, this is really a huge one too, because then you can be aware of your surroundings. If they're really light, the ear hook part rotates so they actually stay in. I've worn them at the gym, on walks, and doing stuff around the house so they don't fall out. Plus, Raycon has over 3 million customers, and the sound quality is just as good as the way more expensive brands. And if you don't like them, they have a 30-day guarantee. Today, I had a very busy day where I was playing golf with my fiance, then pickleball with some of the LCK crew, had my Raycons with me. They were awesome. So make sure to go ahead and check them out today by heading on over to buyraycon.com/powerspikeopen to get 15% off. Upgrade your dad's routine by going to buyraycon.com/powerspikeopen to get 15% off. Thanks to Raycon for sponsoring. All right. You going to get a pair for your dad, Jamada?
You know what? Funnily enough, I went around to his house last weekend to watch the Champions League final. I had these in. He took one look at them. He said, "Can you get me another one?" Just like that. They look nice. Just like that. I was like, well, I'll see. I'll inquire.
Jamada Yamato, that was a pretty big risk I just did there. I just assumed that Jamada's dad was around, alive. It could simply have been just like a risk there. It's a good thing your dad's around, alive, so you can get him one, and you at home, you can get him one too. And if not, you can get him in memory of your dad. Thanks to the Father's Day sale having over at Raycon.
Bro, this is some dark shit, bro. Move on, bro. Like, Jesus Christ. What the fuck, bro? Jesus.
I was just thinking about it, I was like, that wasn't very safe of me. It's the risk when you do a Father's Day thing. All right. Anyways. All right, let's move on. This has been Deep Thoughts with dGon. That's not a segment, but this one is. It's time for high key, low key, no key. Who's got the best chances for MSI? Is it Team Liquid, WE, or MCoy? Fly the thing, Light, and get us out.
I could get you in so much trouble right now. But I'm a good guy, so it's okay. I like you, dGon. I like you a lot, man. It's cool.
So it's high key, low key, no key. Who has the best chance for MSI? Is it the third place over in the LCS with Team Liquid? Is it World Elite, who was the 8th place in LPL? Or is it MCoy, who had that kind of tough loss against G2 in a position where they felt like they had the dub already secured? And their opponents here, right? I wrote it out. For Team Liquid, it's probably Cloud9 and LYON, not FlyQuest. They got to be FlyQuest. For World Elite, it's probably AL or BLG if they lose to Top Esports. They could also just be Top Esports and be in. And then for MCoy, it's only Carmine Corp. Only one team for them to beat to make it to MSI. So high key, low key, no key, and you have to place Team Liquid, World Elite, and MCoy in one of those 3 categories. So you cannot put 2 in 1 or whatever. Yamato, let's start with you. Give us your 3, and then Jamada will rate it and go with yours.
All right. I am going to start with just dropping MCoy as my high key. I think that MCoy is currently better than KC. I think the development of MCoy is more honest, more true. And I think that they are ready to beat KC. I think KC lack in the jungle support department. And for anyone that is listening to me talk about any League of Legends for the past like 4 weeks, I've always talked about jungle and support and how important that synergy is. I think this is what takes you far nowadays, and I think that if you look at the MKOI G2 series, that was the one in the LEC that was played in the right meta beats. I think that KC can be very dangerous in team fights always, in lane phase always, but in the in-between, this is where they suffer. And I think that MKOI, the only fear, right, and why I low-key don't like my high key, but I'm just going to go with it. I'm going to go with it because of the other ones at play here. I feel that, the fear is, of course, that when it comes to the late game parts, MKOI have a tendency to throw, and that can be very risky against KC. But I think they have never looked better in the context of them against KC, and I think this is the time for them to do it and make it to MSI. So I'm hyped for that. The middling one, I think the real question is, WE, can they beat top esports? Because I think if they drop into the lower bracket, I think they are not making it. I think that the BLG series, I think that only happens one. So I think it just comes down to the question of will they beat top esports? And honestly, top esports is weird because collectively, WE and top esports, the last series that they played, the last 6 ones, if you count both last 6 series of both teams, they won 1. And that was top esports beating WE. Like, they were on a lose streak. They lost to Weibo, they lost to AL, they were getting thumped left and right, and suddenly in playoffs, they got their shit together in the sense of, showing really, really good range against JDG. But in terms of possibilities, honestly, the more and more I openly think about it out loud now, I'm going to put... Can I put W on no key? No, I'm not going to do it. I'm going to put them on low key. I think them beating top esports isn't too crazy, and I think that can happen. So I'm going to put them on my low key. I think the matchup stylistically is interesting enough, but I think it can definitely happen. My no key, like, this is a tough one. Honestly, you could see it even. This is a tough one. Because even I can easily see, because of the conversation we had even the last time we had the episode, Team Liquid as a team, they have so much good things going on for them that they just need to add a lot of simplicity to their game, and they did so halfway against LYON. But they've been this way for a long time. Like, the distance between them being like good and bad is so narrow. So I could definitely see a world where they cause an upset win, because it's like their early game is good, their lane phase is good. They have like good mechanical players on the team. Quid just needs to like lock in, and they need to just really, really focus less on individual leads and just trim that down to make sure they're on time on objectives, and then suddenly they would beat LYON. But I don't know if I have faith for them to change that. That's like the main concern. But I'm gonna put them on no key because I have to. That's the game. That's the game. Even though it was very, very, very tough. So I'll give the props to you, dGon. It's a good one.
Yeah, there are a couple things that I loved in that one. One was the space between good and bad is so narrow. That was a good line. I think that's a great line.
Thank you.
That surprised me. And then also just the overall point of, if World Elite lose the top, they're cooked, right? I think that kind of logic makes a lot of sense to me too. They went through 2 tougher teams. Maybe not AL. I think AL and top, top can overcome them, but the having to run into BLG again, I think the way I look at it is like, is the clock going to ring 12 on Cinderella's night out, right? That's the way I think about the World Elite one. Jamada, get in there, man. What were your take on Yamato's, and then give us your 3.
We don't hear you, brother.
It's actually hard to see because it's so bright in here. The muted light genuinely just doesn't change color. So I should probably use the Discord mute. But anyway, I agree with Yamato's stances here. I think that, especially with WE, if they lose to top esports, whoever's coming through the lower bracket is coming in angry. Like, no matter what, like, WE are gonna be a punching bag. Is what I fear out of that series, right? I don't even think that if they lose, that they're going to lose confidence or immediately going to like hit a brick wall and look worse or anything like that. I would just actually start to have more faith that a team that's run through the lower bracket is going to come in with more confidence than obviously the previous meeting, assuming it's JDG it's BLG or AO. I actually forget who's on what side of that lower bracket right now, but yeah, like I can see that happening to WE. With FlyQuest, I think obviously chances are hard because of who is in front of them, but I don't want to give too much away. So my Noki is actually MKOI.
Damn.
My
I thought you said you agreed with me.
I agree with how you got there, but there's a reason why I'm there's a reason why I'm no-keying MKOI.
He's hitting us with Chris Nolan, where he's just Christopher Nolan. He's doing things out of order. Shit.
So obviously, 100% agree. Koi's improvement does feel very honest. From top to bottom, it feels very honest. I still have my qualms with the usage and the overall kind of way in which Merwin is used and his champion pool is used and how it is put on display at times. I still feel like Super has his shortcomings in habits of dying in spaces he shouldn't have. But I think overall the main part that needs to be functioning right now in Alvaro, Oyoya, and Jojo are doing a lot of the heavy lifting. That said, KC have played these guys in 3 series in the last month. KC have beat them in all 3 of these series. KC have only lost since the beginning of last month, so in the last month effectively, because we're recording this on June 3rd, have only lost to G2 and that back series didn't matter series versus GX. So effectively, they've only lost to G2. But they beat the piss out of MKOI each time they've met so far. And I just have this feeling that trend isn't going to be bucked here. Do I feel like Busio and Yike are maybe not playing at the caliber of Yoya and Alvaro? Yeah, I do. But my gut feeling is telling me this trend is gonna stick up. For some reason, for the last month, MKOI have just not been able to find success versus KC. They've just been running headfirst into them each series, whether it's weird draft decisions, in like the EWC qualifier, or whether it's just they play out of sorts compared to what they were doing before they ran into that series. KC have a good track record right now. I'm buying into KC. I think KC for the first time in, when was the last time they even qualified to an international? Was it last year first hand? They're going. I can see it. Which then brings me to my Loki, which is FlyQuest. I like FlyQuest a lot. I actually think they are potentially going through a bit of a soft...
Team Liquid or FlyQuest?
Huh?
Team Liquid or FlyQuest?
It's supposed to be Team Liquid. It's supposed to be Team Liquid. So
sorry.
If that's the case, then you could say no key for Team Liquid because you think it's going to be FlyQuest.
Yeah, I could.
But just speak on FlyQuest. I'm kind of curious. Let's see it.
Yeah.
Fuck Team Liquid. Do FlyQuest.
Yeah, I think Team Liquid are a boring team, and you know what? There was something very rotten about how they lost to LYON, which has set something very poor in my judgment of this team. And even in how they beat Shopify, it felt like a fake series. I think this team is having...
Get on FlyQuest.
Yeah. With FlyQuest, I think they are philosophically bought into Griffin weird picks. I think that Cryogen is, even when he's on Enchanters, which is a majority of the time, he's still finding ways to be a playmaker, or he's doing a very fantastic job of nullifying the enemy team engaged players. And him and Masu in lane are doing really well, into most 2v2. And I think that Yeon on core have been kind of a bit more asleep at the wheel than we're used to seeing them. And I feel like this bot lane matchup is going to be one that FlyQuest kind of end up dominating. And then there's Gatkos. Gakos is kind of just pissing on the whole league. I don't think Morgan is going to have a good time in this matchup. If Gakos is in winning lane positions, I can see him just running away with the entire game. And I think FlyQuest have a decent shot. If they beat TL, I think they have a decent shot at beating LYON. I don't think it's out of the question. I don't know what it is, but FlyQuest feel like they're playing more honest League of Legends right now than a lot of the other teams, the other top teams around. Even C9, good argument they could have beat C9. Even if you want to critique C9 before you praise how FlyQuest played the series. So I'm low key on FlyQuest, and I know that technically we're supposed to be talking about TL. I don't know. I just had FlyQuest on my mind so hard. I wanted to talk about them because they were the opposite side.
Yeah,
but that's my low key, which then brings me to my high key. It's WE. I'm not just specifically bought into the hype train of obviously what's going on, because that would be a very cheap cop out. But I think they have shown a determination and a character that no other team right now in the LPL has really shown. All of the other teams have all of these small issues, which almost all of them are derived from playing the game together. This is the one thing WE are not struggling with, like at all. This is the strength of WE through and through. And so I look at Top Esports, and even though like this team, since its kind of revival, has been very, very centered on Tien and his play style, I feel like lane to lane, the way that this WE team has been playing, they're going to handle themselves fine. And I think they're not going to fall behind in lane. Like, there's not going to be some weird... And this is the thing, I don't really think that Top Esports are bringing a lot of like their mid-game power from lane leads. It's a lot more macro-centric. So for me, I feel like WE can either match that, or they can make the game hectic on their turn through Monkey. And I think that is something that, even though Tien has done a lot of, right now in this frame, I trust Monkey to do it better because of the players around him and them being bought into how Monkey wants to play the game. So I'm super high key on them beating Top Esports because they've beat two, one unarguably better team and then another arguably better team than Top Esports coming into this matchup already on this run. And they've done it convincingly. And I think that is the key word for me, is convince. They beat them convincingly. This wasn't BLG came in and had an over-the-top bad day. They were playing like the BLG that we know for the most part. WE were just better in the decisions that they made moment by moment around objectives, around what they were taking from the map. And as for AL, I mean, AL just, they got done. There's actually not much to draw from that. WE were just flatly the better team. So I've seen WE beat two better teams than Top Esports. There's nothing preventing me from believing that they can't beat Top Esports to make it to MSI.
That was cooking. I mean, he cooked so much, used ingredients that were not allowed. But I still like where we ended up here, Yamato. What do you think?
No, I don't mind. I'm a Gakos fan, so I want to see MKOI Gakos next year. That's where I'm at.
I started stealing the exact same shit. I'm looking at NA as like, yo, which players Europe? Like, this is the new scouting ground, man. Yeah,
who deserves to level up their life? Move to Berlin. Woo. No, I'm kidding.
All right, well, I guess we'll see how it all goes. Let us know in the comments what you think of these high key, low key, no keys between WE, MKOI, and whoever out of the LCS that isn't Cloud9 or LYON, if they've got their chances to make it into MSI. The KC take is interesting. Came with facts. You did, but my concern is, I think during the KC series against Los Gigantes, by the way, our hair is saved. Sorry, Los Gigantes. I think they did a couple. They did a couple. It was a little bit of danger. Nah. They did a couple of mic checks to give us insight, and the comms sounded a little I don't know. To me, it sounded a little stressful. I don't know EU comms as well. I know the way that Inspired talks to people is very different. The way that, I've experienced it from NA, EU imports is different. But it just sounded a little more aggro in game. I think there was a moment where Yike had to use his flash earlier and then couldn't fight because he used his flash earlier. And then the team fought and he got killed because he didn't have his flash. And he was, it's in the middle of the game. So he explains that to his teammate. But he's like, I already told you. I felt like I told you we can't fight because I'm on flash. And then that was like the end of the mic check. And I was like, ooh, that felt, I don't know. Maybe is that me being a little too soft, Yamato?
Oof. I'm going to be honest with you. I got completely distracted by something. Could you repeat what you said? I'm so sorry, bro.
That's okay. Basically, the mic check was I think it was a mic check of Yike.
Oh,
not
yeah.
having flash.
Oh yeah, I didn't see that.
The way that he did it, the way that EU people talk to each other in game, is that indicative of if they're tilted or not? It's better that they're talking rather than not saying anything, right?
I didn't see the mic check. What the hell did he say? Loop me in.
He basically was like, "This is what happens when I don't have flash," and I said I don't have flash, so we can't. And basically, he was on Vi, he didn't have flash, or he was against Vi, didn't have flash. They fought when he didn't have flash, he died, and then they check in with what happened after the fight. And
that's a bit of tilt. Yeah, that's a bit of tilt. But I think it's always comms is always related to the dynamic. Like I have been in team dynamics where people swear at each other and call each other names, and that's just how you do things, Yeah. And maybe a different player in that environment would crumble completely. So it's like I don't want to judge too harshly, but it does sound like a little bit of tilt. But sometimes tilt is permissible. Maybe it's something that conveys a specific message. I did this Warcraft 3 tournament run, right? And I had this coach called Death Note, a Russian guy, and he was flaming the shit out of me for hours. He never complimented me ever, which was fine. I don't mind. But everyone in chat was like, "Oh my god, how can he improve like this, whatever?" But he was like, he was so meticulous. He's like, "This you do bad. Why you do this? I tell you 10 times. Why? What are you doing?" Every single thing. And it turned it like a big thing. We do 6-hour sessions of him just swearing at me, He's like, "You shit, you play so bad." And it was for me that was perfect because I just needed the directness and I improved fucking fast. But other people would crumble under that shit. So comms is always depending on the person. But I think majority of people would say this tilt is unnecessary. You could just repeat this thing as, "Guys, we need to play around my flash. Come on now. I really need the flash to execute." There's a different way. You say the same thing with a little bit, more pizzazz, a little bit more finesse.
Yeah. Let us know in the comments below. Do you think Yike was tilted there or not? Or if maybe I care too much about how you say things. It is my living. It is my living. Speaking of living, it's time to go to the region where I live at and host at, and that will be hosting MSI later on. Do a lot of hosting MSI later on. Maybe there's an announcement about that coming soon. It's time for the Galaxy Brain Club. It is LCK playoffs. Okay. Actually, it's all playoffs. I know I said it's LCK playoffs, but it's all playoffs because we do need to pick who's going to MSI and LEC winner by by next week. Also, this week in LCK, it's a little slow. It's will KT make it to the road to MSI, the top 4 teams, or will they crash out? And over in LCS, I think it's just who's getting eliminated and who's qualifying for MSI. So if it's a Cloud9 or Lion. Let's start in the LCK. I think it's a little bit more straightforward. We didn't spend a lot of time in the LCK over the last 2 weeks, but it's been pretty straightforward. LCK, the top 5 teams have winning records and winning streaks. The bottom 5 teams all have losing streaks. So it was a very, these games could have been emails. No one really shook anything up. The bros end up making it to the beginning round of Road to MSI. They face off against D plus Kia, a team that they've troubled in the past. And then the winner of that series will play against KT, the number 4 seed. KT, starting off the split strong and then kind of losing their way. And I feel like I've been a little bit of a KT apologist for people that haven't watched as much, and even for the ones that have, because Aiming, with all of his baggage, Aiming has had a fantastic split. He's arguably a top 3 AD carry this season, the split. But also, he got sick in the middle of this run, and their backup Fenrir had to come in, and he got absolutely bullied like a rookie, and I think that tanked KT's standings. So, with that said, will there be any upsets here? I'll keep it broad, Jamada. Upsets in the LCK? Yes, no. Who?
Yeah, well, let's just get the obvious out of the way. DK will beat KT. Reason being, Aiming is starting. This is technically qualified as playoffs.
Wow.
I don't actually.
All my homies hate Aiming. Woo! Come on.
Is there anything else to actually say? Like I'm so dead serious. Will he show up? It's a best of 5. It's playoffs. It's qualification to an international.
Send in Fenrir. It's time.
Like, bro,
Round 2.
like, on my father, I would believe that KT would have a better chance of winning if Aiming wasn't in that series. I'm dead serious.
Bro, this episode, bro.
I'm dead serious.
Bro, we are disturbing some forces. We're doing like Power Spike is built on a Indian burial ground or something like. Hey guys, this is horrible.
I don't really have faith in Bro's ability to DK in this best. I don't. I'm sorry, DK. I know you love.
You said it. You said it once.
To your
Just
heart.
move on and make your point.
Yeah, I just can't. I can't get over. Do you know what? This is just replaying in my head. It's Aiming on midwave versus T1 summer playoffs as Smolder versus Blitzcrank.
That was proven. Okay.
And it's just replaying in my head over and over and over and over.
That
and
was
over again.
proven. That Showmaker said he has no flag.
I know what was said. And dGon, wallah, I don't care. I don't care. I don't. It's you don't. It's just not something in that position. Almost regardless of what comms you had, even though that those were the comms he got, I still wouldn't trust. So, unfortunately, KT will be losing if they field Aiming. That's just the nature of the LCK. If they win, fair play. But I can't see Aiming not at least trying his hardest to make sure that they don't go.
All right. Jamada has laid down the gauntlet before we move to another region here. Yamato, only 2 games in the LCK. First time we're seeing best of 5 since LCK Cup. Bros D+, then probably D+ versus KT. What you got?
We have to have some more. Let me talk about like the whole bracket. Let me talk about some T1 HLE Gen G business. Am I allowed to? dGon. I don't care about Bro. I don't care about D+. KT, fuck them, man.
We got to save something for next week, man.
Okay,
that's all we're doing. That's why we have to talk about.
Okay. I'm a Jamada. I think D+ is beating KT. I think Bro ain't doing shit besides sending more agents out to cross the world in the next offseason. They're already planning that. World domination, bro. They're playing a game of Risk, bro. They're gonna have they're gonna make a league team in Mongolia. They're gonna make a league team here. Boom, boom, boom. They're playing a game of Risk, bro. They're slowly, and then eventually the whole world championship will only be Bro players, and then the chip will be activated, and then and then they will win.
Cars, Bro talent, going to MSI.
Yeah.
Delight, Bro talent. All right. Damn, that sucks. Are we really not going to talk about Hanwha 2-1 and Gen G? I feel like we got to wait until next week. They don't do anything.
Okay. But what about we could do some C9 Lion discussion. Could be fun.
C9 Lion discussion. Coaching staff of the year. Cloud9. They're in there against third split in a row MVP inspired. Damn. And two top laners with Lion Gaming or Lion, no longer Lion Gaming. What you think, Yamato?
You know, this matchup is interesting. I feel like Lion is not in good form, man. I think they're not in good form at all. I don't know what's going on here. You know, like I think like the way they looked against Team Liquid was rough. And I feel like how they are swapping between the top laner thing. Like at this point, I just imagine they're gonna play Dokla through and through because Castle is not ready to be a part of the inspired system. He's not ready to be a wheel. And I think the cushion of having another round in like the fact that it's double elim makes me think that Sienna is going to win. I think the pressure is not the same, the tension is not the same, and I think that is going to, like the way the bracket is set up for me is just perfect for C9 because they can conquer their demons while these demons are not at their throat, you know. And if you beat them once, you'll have all the confidence in the world to beat them again. Why not? And I think that C9 cohesively, like you know what I like about C9. Dom has finally gotten through to these guys by saying, yo, Appa, play fucking Annie and sit down. You know, like we see a lot more of, you know what? You might be, you know, your mechanics might not be the sharpest in the lands, but there are champions that don't require the sharpest mechanics in the land. Just play those. And I have to say, Blabberoni and APA, that synergy is looking clean. I see that jungle work. Our boy Dom, you know, shout out to Dom, coaching staff with the split. Inspired wasn't eligible. You know, that's his life. You know, he's a player. He's not up for the award. You know, it's weird. I had to do a double take and think. It's like, who's coaching Lion? Oh yeah, Rainover. Damn, he's kind of a legend. But it's like it's an inspired team. Do we give a damn? I think C9 in this round, I think they're gonna take it. I think this is the time they're actually gonna take it. They've beaten them in best threes in the past when it didn't matter too much. But here, I think the lineup is just perfect in terms of form, in terms of timing, and in terms of where the meta is at. Because I think the meta is also super nice for APA. If there's any big change we saw with the patches that came through was Deathfire Touch and how it warped mid lane. And I do think that APA is more, you know, he's better when he can play like champions that have colorful, splash outs, you know, like a little bit of Casio, a little bit of this, a little bit of that. I think they're in a good spot. They're poised to make it to MSI in my mind.
You know, it's funny. I don't know if you can pull this up right now, Light. Even though there has been games where it feels like APA is on Annie duty, the newest thumbnail for Cloud9 on their Cloud9 League of Legends YouTube says, APA in Game 5, just trust me. And it's Jack and the manager with their hands on their head being like, what the fuck is going on, right? It feels like you can tell when APA is like, all right, he's on duty, doing what he's supposed to. And maybe Cloud9 is trying to sell you opposite because that's what his personality is known for. But yeah, that is kind of what they're trying to push. Cloud9 Lion, Jamada. You had the Raycons on, so I know that you heard Yamato's points. What you think?
Nice.
Mute it again. A little bit of extra ad space for Raycon. Yeah. It's not a finals. And I think that's the biggest like positive for C9 here. Is that I have full confidence in their state that they can topple TL. TL look really, to me, just out of sorts. Both in draft and gameplay. I think TL's big problem, I will talk about C9, I promise, was their draft priority kind of just fell out of like what's happening in NA. So if C9 go down and play them, if they lose to Lion, I think they'll be fine. I think FlyQuest will be the tricky one because FlyQuest are willing to play out their champions that I think will make the game awkward for C9 if they don't come in at all cylinders firing. But I think before all of that, obviously, versus Lion, my big concern is just the bot lane. That's it. It is just the 2v2. I think if C9 escape the first 15 minutes of every game where Berserker doesn't have some outrageous like gold lead, I think C9 will just win. I think they are smarter on the map. I do think that they are. I'm not going to say across the board executing team fights better, but I feel like Blabber is a little more disciplined than usual. I'm not going to fall into the same talking points as when C9 are doing well, typically. I'm very apprehensive about this team. I want to make that clear. But I feel that C9 will have the foresight to understand what Lion's true win conditions typically are, and that comes through bot more times than it doesn't. It comes through, the occasional inspired Saint game where they can actually try to run side lanes together, right? Those are the two main ways for me that Lion look the strongest and win a majority of their game. And if they don't have setups like that, if they don't have drafts like that, then I think they're neutered, they're defanged quite heavily. So I think C9 will strive to make sure that they're not finding those tools consistently throughout the best of 5 in draft. But then in team fights, I expect a little bit more meticulousness out of C9 to identify, okay, we've given them river control first, we can drop this objective. I actually think they will happily do a little bit of vegan gameplay if it makes sense in spaces into Lion. I can see that happening. So I'm landing on the C9 side, but I think to give Lion some credit, they have been willing to pick like kind of more traditional mid jungle pairings that aren't super popular right now in the meta. So like into TL they played Sejuani Yone, and it was into Aurora Vi, and they just ran the 2B. That it was just very, very difficult to play. They also had the Senna for global, so they just played side lanes. It was a very, very strong performance over. So they're willing to do things like that. Obviously, there was the Ornn jungle. Though inspired, we need to work on that. We need to work on that a little bit, because I think there was a lot of potential in the pick in that game. It just didn't end up working out. So they're willing themselves to play kind of weirder 2v2s that make sense for themselves as players, and then also into the enemy comp. So that's really what I'm looking at is Berserker and Isles as a pair in lane, and then Inspired and Saint as a duo. I've never really been sold on Inspired and Isles as a duo, because it feels like Inspired has to reach, 3 computers over and mouse and keyboard Isles in the downtime. And that's something that I've not really seen improve a significant amount with Isles, unfortunately. It's gotten better, I want to make that clear, but it's still not to the full consistency that I would like out of Isles personally. But yeah, that's how I'm looking at this C9 and Lion series. I still give the edge to C9, but I think if Inspired and Saint land on comfortable 2v2s, if Berserker and Isles are given too much room in the early game, I think they can the series.
Will C9 speak the truth, or will they be Lion?
Hmm.
I had another one about C9 being senile, but I didn't know how to piece it together.
Let us know in the comments below. What do you rate that out of 10? Please. 10 being the best. Let me just clarify that one. Let's move on over to Europe, where we got to name 2 winners here, right? We've got MCoy and KC. I think you guys have already done that one already. And then do either one of your winners beat G2?
No.
Nah, brother.
No.
G2 is cold, man. G2, bro. Coaching staff, bro. Best coaching staff in the world. Let's be honest. Best coaching League of Legends staff in the world. Holy, we can trust them. Come on now. How much we can trust them to get their shit together is just sublime. Bro, Labrov is an elite level support that I can put next to Mickey and Hilly now after 1 year of suffering. Choking in finals in winter, choking in finals in spring to finally put together something nice in summer. And then to continuously build on that to turn Labrov into an elite level player, bro. Give him a gold damn star. Like, imagine some of these players. Like, imagine, my heart would hurt. Imagine if Skumon went to BDS. Oh, astaghfirullah. Oh, imagine Skumon was on BDS, brother. How would his career shape up? Imagine he stayed on BDS. How would his career shape up? I don't want to even think about these dark timelines. So I just wanted to use this moment to glaze G2. WG2. Come on now. Really good team.
Jamada.
Yeah, no, G2 are gonna touch these guys. It doesn't matter who makes it to the finals. They're not having a good time. Chances are. Yeah, like I don't know whether it got really dark all of a sudden. Whether it's draft, whether it's gameplay, whether it's individual like step ups, caps, Labrov. I mean, I feel bad for giving up on Labrov halfway through my defense of his ability last year. I'm glad that he's finally come out of his shell more. I feel like at least for the first half of last year, I was one of the few people that was actually defending Labrov and saying, give him more time, give him more time. And then it got to like halfway through summer and I just gave up. And I was like, you know what? I see what everyone's talking about. I get it. I understand. Maybe he's not going to end up being the best version of himself that we occasionally saw when he was on PDS. Okay, fine. I capitulate. But I'm glad that that vision is finally being realized and he just feels more confident in his play overall. Yeah, I don't think there's a solid argument for either team here, unfortunately. Obviously, yes, MKOI brought them to 2-0, but they couldn't close out the series. And I think that's going to be something that haunts them if they make it. And like I said, I'm more edged towards KC in KC making it to finals. At which point, I still unfortunately feel like Yahoo is just a passenger. This guy is not an impact player, man. He's not. He's not. And I really want him to be because if KC had a high impact mid lane player with the side lanes that they have and with Yike in the sometime-ish forms that he's in right now, I think Yike would have more to bounce off of mid, and I think this team would be significantly more explosive, and I think they'll be significantly more decisive. But how many games can you really look at in retrospect and go, yeah, Yahoo like basically solo carried the entire thing? It's low single digits.
Yeah.
And I think they need more. I think KC need more. And that's before we talk about Yike and Busio and how they, match up to Skumond and Labrov in form. So yeah, I'm taking G2 pretty much 100 times out of 100. It would be an upset if they lose to either of these teams, I think.
And then let's close it out with the LPL. We not only have that upper side game, they are still playing through every day. I mean, the LPL schedule is amazing that they get through all those matches in the way that they do. It is a brutal gauntlet format, and there's just no time for breaks. So you do have top esports versus WE. Then you have JDG versus BLG. And then AL is going to beat LGD. That's just kind of the way the bracket goes. And then AL against the winner of JDG, BLG. And then we'll leave it there. JDG versus BLG, Yamato. This is, I thought these two teams would go. Like earlier, middle of LPL, these are the two teams that wanted to go. I felt like it was BLG and someone. Now, and I thought it would be JDG, but now they're doing battle now.
I think the weird part about JDG is that they've tried so hard to become a team that can beat BLG and have lost themselves in the process. I think that the way they draft and approach the game is just too lane centric. Like against BLG, it's good to get out of the gates with strong counter picks and matchups that allow you to get ahead, because BLG. They get ahead most games, if not almost every game. But the games where they do not, they tend to be. They play like annoyed. They're like, fuck this game. I don't want to be in this game. Let me get ahead. Like they just seem. I don't know. That's at least how I imagine in my brain how they play. I don't know if it's true, but it's my imagination. And I think JDG have. Kind of leaned into that too heavy. They're playing like Tryndamere into Jace and making compositions that are like, on paper, it's like an isolation. Tryndamere Jace can be very nice, but then everything else needs to make sense because you need to kind of, win the game at some point. And I think that Top Esports, what they did to JDG was that they showed, like, what's cool about Top Esports, just a small, like, I'm going to use a little pocketed to glaze Top Esports a little bit, is if for some reason, if they make international, which is very likely here from the position they're in, they make MSI. This top esports is very different from the past ones. Because this top esports has range. Cream has turned into a super, super mature veteran mid laner. In the past, Cream was the guy who played melees only, had good Tristana, good Kaiser. He could carry games on those on occasion. Everything else, he's like, he locked in like some of the mages. You're like, he slowly like got more and more confidence on the mages. But now he is like, if it wasn't for Knight frying as hard as he did this split, he is like MVP candidate in terms of how good he plays. He's so damn consistent. He has such a range of champions. And I feel like always as a team, your range is determined by how much your mid laner can play. And I think this version of Top Esports isn't the Top Esports that is driven by Kanavi and Jackie Love, because they play, like Kanavi in particular, when he was on Top Esports, he played the League of Legends where he wants to put the enemy jungle in a cage match so he can just stand and punch, you know? And that's where he wins. But when he faced off against LCK teams and sometimes even LEC teams, bro, like the LEC and LCK, they just don't show up to the cage. And then Kanavi's just in there. He's like, what the fuck? He's like, let me out. You know? He's trying to get someone in. He's like level 3 Trundle walking in river, you know? And he's just trying to find someone to level gank. And there's like 15 wards like spotting him. And he's like desperately flashing over walls and shit. But Top Esports isn't that team anymore. And for me, just to round off right, JDG, BLG, I think BLG is going to beat them. I don't think that the JDG idea of improvement has worked out as Tabe intended. I wish Tabe went... Like Tabe, what I love, my favorite version of Tabe is the value Tabe. You know? The guy who finds like a cheeky Maokai Jinx angle to be like, ooh, the game is so easy for the boys to play. I can just sit back, kick back, relax, and they just know that even if they 1k goal behind, they're going to win. And they kind of reverse their strengths a little bit. But now it's like they're so early game centric, lane centric, that even with some advantages, it's just not enough. And I think that BLG has a bigger range to be able to beat JDG. So for me, my prediction is BLG is going to make the run through the whole bracket, and they're going to beat Top Esports in the final. So the two teams to MSI, Top Esports, BLG. Boom.
Oh, some good lines in there. Especially just the visualization of being in the cage and no one's in there with Kanavi. Jamada, bring us home.
Well, I already gave you my high key earlier.
You did.
WE are making it to
make it?
MSI, man. Monkey's going to an international.
Yeah.
Karis is going to an international.
Bro, that sounds like the title of a children's book. Monkey is going to international. It's like Curious George.
you know those ones like this is maybe an English one, but like the Gruffalo or like the Hungry Caterpillar, like real children's fairy tale type story.
I don't know what kind of Gruffalo.
Oh, I know the Gruffalo, bro. I think if you pull it up, you know the Gruffalo.
If you pull it up, you probably know
that guy's
the
a legend,
it's
bro.
pretty famous. Yeah. That's a famous
that guy's a legend.
like kid story.
The Gruff.
He's got some crazy teeth.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I know this guy.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. See, there you go.
7.5 IMDb is crazy.
Oh no,
Gruffalo movie.
Also to clarify,
I'm sorry.
I forgot what me and my fiance were watching. I think we were watching like late night stand up.
Okay.
And someone said something looking like a juggalo, and she looked at me and said, and given she grew up in the States, I forget all the time that she is not an American citizen. And she was like, "What's a juggalo?" And I was like, "What?
What is a juggalo? Isn't it gigolo?
No. Don't say that one. Don't say that one. Don't say that one. That one is fine. Don't say that one.
What?
Don't say that one. Don't say that one.
No, that is what I thought. So your boy just taught his fiance, incorrect English. I need to go correct this after this episode because you brought up the Gruffalo.
Yeah, it's a male sex worker. What's wrong with that, bro?
Yeah, that's what I thought it was.
Yeah,
But
bro, I thought I said a slur, bro. I was like,
you didn't say
shit.
a slur. You didn't say a
Oh,
you didn't say a
no.
slur.
I thought you did. No, sorry. There's an.
Where are we at now?
Don't worry. No, it's okay.
To Juggalo,
So, anyway.
to Gigolo, to whatever cancelable thing Jamada is about to say.
No. It's okay. I'll tell you guys after the. So WE are being the snot and piss out of top esports. And then yeah, what I'm kind of where my head is at is more around BLG and whether or not they can just maintain composure, because it is 3 best of 5s in a row, right? Like short amount of turnaround. All of the teams in my setup, it's that they have to play number 3 into number 2 into number 4 into number 3. Like this is actually like a true you have to beat everyone, right? And not to say that like JDG have championship winning DNA like flowing through their veins, like every single team member here. But after losing to WE, for me, everything is on the table. You know, like that's just kind of where my head lands analytically. I think that JDG have lost themselves. I really loved your take on JDG in terms of this is a team that should be very, very versatile and just kind of capable of doing everything, right? Whether it's Junji or Honkyu, whether it's Gala on utility or hyper carry, obviously he prefers hyper carry. Vampire has been molded into a very individually strong support. And Xiaoshu is just an all-rounder. That's the kind of player he is. He can play weak side, he can play strong side. He's capable of playing everything. But I think the fact that they have gone towards this personality is what is going to unfortunately be their undoing versus BLG. AL, I think AL are cooked. Without what feels like strong guidance that Tabe obviously provided, I just don't see AL really beating either of these two teams, JDG or BLG, but especially not BLG. And I think Top Esports, if it's BLG they meet in that lower bracket final, BLG want to make it to MSI. It's going to be no nonsense. And that's that. I think BLG will make the run as well. I don't think it's rocket science. But the only place where I differ is I think WE will beat Top Esports.
I can see it.
I'm very firm in my belief that they can do that. Yeah.
I think it goes back to, and a good way to wrap up the episode, how we started. There's a difference between a winning mindset and a championship mindset. And I think BLG have that, and they reinforced that earlier this year, especially with the players and their success over at First Stand. And so there's our picks. I will go with no particular reason, the feel-good story of WE as the second attending team, because we did see Bean K. Furix go to an international event and then finish 7th, I think, maybe 8th, 7th. So wouldn't be out of the realm of possibility. I wish FlyQuest the best. I wish all the teams the best, but I think Cloud9 and LYON are just a step above in terms of their ability as well. Quick hit before we close off the episode. I know that's how I said we would wrap it up. Rumors have it. Sources, as they do without linking the source. Top laner Emperos is set to be benched by Fnatic ahead of the LEC summer split. It is rumored that they are taking a look at Korean top laners with the potential of signing someone from Europe. But discussions have been held with multiple South Korean players with a particular focus on top laners currently competing in LCK Challengers. While a European acquisition remains a possibility, Fnatic's search appears to be centered in the Korean market, trying to catch Rooster in a bottle or Kana in a bottle. And they will go ahead and try to pilfer the likes of Daehyuk or Jaehyuk, or to be honest, I think Kangen is pretty crazy and would be a good pickup. He's over there in B&K Furex Youth. Frog had some time in DRX when he replaced Rascal, and then for whatever reason, DRX has gone with Rich. And Lancer has been around for a little while as well for the DN Supers. And then Hete has gotten a lot of run for T1. Those are the ones that jump out immediately for me, but it did feel like Emperos was just, as we've said, not of the level for the LEC and was a liability for Fnatic throughout the split. So at least they are doing something about it. But I just wanted to throw out some names as they were getting in there. Also, I'm triple checking. Okay, Oscar is a free agent. So they're just paying out his contract? Ugh. Fnatic.
Fnatic. They signed this guy as a rookie. You know, it seemed like they signed him because Vladdy wanted to sign him, right? They didn't give him a really shot. This team was dysfunctional from day one, and now this guy's career is low-key like ruined. Like, regardless of how Emperos played, he was not set up to succeed. He was set up to fail. I don't see what world he would be ready to win. He wasn't first. I don't think he was super ready to play because there were top laners in ERLs better than him. And also, now that you made that decision, you didn't even follow through on it, and then you make a switch. When, at this point, even though their ego wouldn't allow it, Oscarini would be a way better choice, right? I think the only person that can save this team is Bwipo still.
That's what I was about to say.
Only guy, you know. Bwipo's had some negative PR, you know, you can get him on the cheap, on the down low, but that's an elite player that is just waiting right there. Let's be honest. I think these other guys from LCK, CL, bro, like, they're probably not going to listen to this, but bro, don't ruin your career to go play one split. Like, don't do it. Like, if you believe you have a future somewhere and you're going to play this game for a long time, I don't think this is the right place to do it. And I think I don't even need to say it. I think a lot of people are aware of this because that's the main question. What kind of pool does Fnatic have at this point? I don't know who they could get, but yeah, I don't know. If they could get a player that they are going to hold for the next 3 years, that would be amazing, but I doubt it.
How long is too long developing in LCK-CL? Like how many years? Because remember, you have 3 tiers in LCK. You have Academy, then you have Challengers, and generally, if you're in Challengers, you are of caliber unless you guys are last place and you're the problem. If not, they'll keep you and just wait to either sell or see if they need to shake things up. But how many years is too many years?
How long was Zini and KT Academy? That's too long. That's too long. Now that's the measurement. Let me put it up.
Okay. I'm pulling it up too. I think it was 2 years.
That's the breakoff point. 2 years.
Oh wait. He was in KT Academy, which is the 3rd team, and then get pulled up
for 3 years.
In 20. Yeah. So it was about 3 years. Started in 2022.
I wasn't too serious. I think it just depends on situation to situation. It's kind of tough. Like, for example, Thanatos' timing to C9 was perfect, right? Like, they moved Shiwu up, and like the odds of him playing on the main team was just non-existent. I think it's just about what kind of experience you're actually gaining while playing. I think that's like the main thing. Is your challenge team like a competitive team? Are you surrounded by players where you're actively improving? I think you need to always make the decisions that allow you to grow as a player. If you're being held back, I think you need to move. Like even doing that route, I don't know how plausible it is nowadays, but like when players went to TCL to move up to, like even that move was sideways, but put you in kind of everyone's frame of mind a little bit more, because that's how like Noah came to be, right? I think he played in the Polish team, for example, right? Like that route is also a possibility. So I think it just depends. Are you actually improving in the position you're in, or are you complacent and just standing still? because you got to keep moving.
Yeah, I mean, Frog, 3 years. Heyte has been 4 years in Challengers. Just recently he joined, not just recently, but over the last 3 splits he joined T1, but he'd been with KDF for a while, since 2022. Yeah, I'm just looking at these guys. A lot of these guys have been in tier 2 for at least 3 years, and then academy before that in 2022 or 2021. Saro for KT, he's been around now for 2 years. So it just feels like, as much as we know, like, that Fnatic role and infrastructure is so important, and it's so different than what they have in LCK. And you might feel like it's your shot, and you've seen other players have the opportunity to get out there. Wei has most recently had the opportunity to move up for Stend. And then you see Rooster get the shot out there. You see the heights that kind of walks out in front of the KC fandom. Like, you see that. And then you see Fnatic. That's a team that you know from the West. Like, it's really, really, I think it's going to be very hard for a Korean player to be like, no,
honestly, Fnatic, hire dGon. Like, let him be your GM, bro. Like, I have never been convinced more that a player should sign for Fnatic than this moment. Like, I am 99% serious. Like, so
Jamada, please just what do you think?
I mean, you'd make better decisions than whoever's fucking there right now, wouldn't you? Like, I think that's just I'd believe that in a heartbeat. Don't know about your career prospects after your time there. Yeah, no, I mean, what was Emperor's doing? That's
not his fault. I don't feel
it's
like
not his fault. No, it's not his fault, but what was he doing here? You know? And I think right now Fnatic are like, see, I was gonna call them the Tottenham Hotspur of the LEC, but at least, like, Tottenham occasionally they do something nice for themselves. It's been a long time since Fnatic have done something nice.
Yeah.
But in that same
Harry
sentence,
Kane if he never went to Munich.
Yeah, they let go of Harry Kane. That's basically it. They're going to let go of Razork next split.
But this is the thing. They just don't have pool, and that's why they came to my mind. Like, Tottenham as a team, they're supposed to be a top 6 club. They don't have pool, and that's how I feel about Fnatic. They don't have pool anymore. No one in their right mind who cares about their career is going to go to Fnatic. If you care about your career, you will turn that. Like, if I'm any Korean, like, challenger player, like, agent, and I get an email in my inbox from the big D, Mr. Dado, or whoever is supposed to be the GM, really, come to Fnatic. We will pay you some nice. No, you're staying in Seoul, bro. You're not going anywhere. You're not going anywhere. Yeah. This team. We need.
I like the on your angle though, bro. If someone's 4 years is a crazy amount of time, bro. If we can move, bro, like, I can see players having the ego, thinking I can fix them and I'll be a hero.
Yeah,
you know
like,
what?
I just think of, like, Kangen. Kangen is one of those players here, because the main reason why I heard of him is because his name sounded like Kingen. Kingen. And so you're like, okay, who is this guy? And he's aggressive top laner, plays similarly, just hasn't had the opportunity yet. I think that's the one, if I'm Fnatic, that you would want to take a shot on. But sorry, go ahead, Jamada, and then let's wrap up.
I just wanted to wrap on Yamato. You brought up Whippo. I think that would be disastrous for them. I think it will be disastrous. I don't think. Think about it like this: who is a big leader voice in Fnatic right now?
Nobody.
If you bring Whippo into this setting, where, like, and this is if this somehow lands in the lap of a Fnatic player, I'm sorry, no one in that room, it feels like they have a strong spine for talking about the game, like the way that Whippo does. You drop Whippo in that back, you aren't getting anything done.
No.
My
in
brother,
my
though,
mind.
let me tell
I
you,
don't think you get anything.
bro, if you have
done
no
Whippo drops in
leadership,
there, you
no
know?
prospect, no upside, Whipple's the right amount of chaos and spice to give you that upside and that leadership,
I
you know?
want to believe it. I want to believe it, but like, I think the problem is you need to have a bit of push and pull with a personality like that. And I think with Whippo, it would be all push.
Just
Oh,
give
sorry,
him full
full pull
reign,
and there's
bro.
no
Give him
push.
the keys to the castle.
I mean,
bro.
obviously, like at the point there, I agree.
Let's see
but I
a
don't think it
Whippo
would be
vision,
conducive to anything
like
positive.
fully, you know, it's like a Marvel Universe spin-off, you know? They just have Whippo, the main character. He's the Punisher, boom. It's just, let him in there, man.
All right.
Let him in there.
We'll see what happens. We'll see who Fnatic will go with over the next however long it takes. Hopefully it's soon. I mean, it'd be really exciting if we get to talk about it next episode. But more importantly, we'll talk about the new LEC champion and the teams representing them. We'll see who's coming out of one of the teams coming out of the LPL, and then see who's left standing for LCS and LCK. Thank you so much for watching this episode. Thanks to our friends over at Raycon. If you haven't already, like and subscribe. Make sure to comment your high key, low key, no key, rate Yamato's pun, and all the rest in the comments while you're there. Like and subscribe. Thanks so much for watching. See ya.